Well, hello friends, and welcome back to browser hacking once again. Today we're going to work on image layouts, sort of. We have this little problem here that if I go to the image test page, we have these images. These are all images, except these ones refer to files that don't exist. And it's all nice and good, except if we resize the window, the images don't actually like spread across multiple lines. They just stay in one line. And that's not right. They're supposed to go on like multiple lines because they're just laid out next to each other. How can I show you the HTML? Maybe we should have a view source thing actually. But this is images.html, so it's right here, open in text editor. So this is just, oops, wait, why can't I resize the window? Okay, nothing is working right. I don't know why this is not working. Okay, there we go. Something was off with QEMU there. I hope. There I go, blaming QEMU. So these are just images, and they don't have any line breaks or anything between them, and they should just spread out across multiple lines. So I added this thing that you can turn on this checkbox here that will show you the line boxes for everything, which is really, really helpful when you're trying to work on the layout stuff. So here, if we look at, for instance, this page, you can see the line boxes have these little green borders around them. And if we go in this extremely text-heavy page, it's cool to be able to see these. So basically, the line boxes, when we do the layout, we try to cram as much as possible into each line box. So one line box equals one line of text, right? Or one line of something, some kind of content. In this case, it's just text, so we try to cram as many words as possible into each line, and then when we can't fit, so like this word here, lobortis, cannot fit here in the remaining space, so we break and make a new line. And that's what this shows, these green boxes. So if we go and look at the images page here, we can see that each of these images ends up in a little box, but these are still all in the same line box because one line equals one line box, right? But these are all separate fragments in the same line box. So what's happening here is that when we add fragments to this line box, we are not really caring to see if we are running out of space in the line box. We just add it to the end of the line box anyway. So it's not very considerate of us. So we got to fix that. But first, I just wanted to show you this little mechanism that lets you see the line boxes, because it's super duper helpful for this, just to be able to visualize what's going on. Because it's like you can look at the layout tree dump, right, and like read the coordinates, you know, like 10, x10 and y12, width and height and so on. But if you can just see them on the screen, that just helps you so much to understand what's going on. Anyways, so if we look at layout image, which is the layout class that ends up instantiated for image elements, actually I'll show you how that works. So the HTML image element, which the img tag, if we encounter an img tag in the parser, we'll instantiate an HTML image element object. And then when we try to create the layout node for an image element, then we create a layout image. So that's pretty simple. And then if we look at layout image, how that works, it inherits from layout replaced. And all of the layout logic that we care about here is actually in layout replaced. So replaced refers to the concept of like CSS replaced elements, which are any kind of element that don't really behave according to the CSS box model, like, or that they're like, how do I say it? Like their behavior is like governed by outside forces. So things like images, frames, videos, stuff like that. Stuff that has like its own little behavior. And images inherit from this. So let's see. The driver function of line layout is split into lines here. So we can see that the way that it currently works, when you call split into lines on a layout replaced, what we do is we call layout, which just means that we lay out any children that we might have, which is a bit weird, but I think, I'm not sure we need to do that right now, but I'm just going to leave it there because I'm sure I put it there for some reason and I don't want to think about it right now. But the important part here is this stuff. So splitting into lines is all about figuring out what we want to do. How do we want to contribute to the line layout of our containing block? And this is our containing block, and we are going to somehow contribute lines to it, or contribute fragments into those lines. So currently what we do is, if the container has no line boxes, we just add one so that there is one. And then we do, we make sure that we have one, and then in the very last line box, we just add a fragment referring to this layout node with our width and height. So add fragment, what that's all about is, I'll show you the linebox class. It's like dead simple actually. So linebox is just a vector of linebox fragments and the accumulated width of those fragments. So every time that we add a fragment, we just add to the width of the fragment, so that we always know how much space we've taken up so far horizontally, because that's what line layout is all about, is figuring out when you run out of horizontal space and you need to make a break. So that's what we got to do now, is we need to, here, when we are splitting a layout replaced into lines, we want to check if we run out of space, and if so, cause a new break. So it will be something like, if container.lineboxes last dot width plus our own width, so our rect plus width. So if like the accumulated width of the line so far plus the width of this image is greater than the available width in the container, container rect width. If that's the case, then container line boxes last, no, then we want to add a new line box. So this reads really awkwardly, but basically, how can we make this less awkward? Like, if container, how about we do like, how about we have a function called like ensure last line box, or just last line box, and then we make sure that it always returns a line box by doing this. So how would that feel? Let's see. Layout block and layout block last line box. M line boxes last. Let's see. If M line boxes is empty, then M line boxes append a line box and then return the last. Okay, and then then we would say last line box here once again. Oh, no, wait, hold on. That's wrong. So if the last line box width plus This looks too, it's too sneaky. I don't like that. I don't like that this looks like a getter, but it actually has a side effect. So I'm going to call it ensure last line box, just to make it a little bit more readable, the fact that, or make it a little bit more visible, the fact that this actually does something. So it ensures, because like if you have this like adjective noun type getter, it really sounds like it has no side effects to me. But if you add a verb up front, then it just gives it that mutation feel to it. Even if ensure is like a very soft mutation, that I tend to use ensure for things like lazily initialized things or lazily allocated things. But I think that's slightly nicer. Okay, so we ensure that there's a last line box, and then if its width plus the rect width of this current layout node exceeds the available width in the container, then we add a new line box. And then here, it still feels kind of awkward. I wonder if it would feel less awkward if we wrote it somehow differently. I'm just going to mess around with it a little bit just to see. So something like auto line box is, if we do that, and then if line box container line boxes append line box, and then we would reassign line box to be container line boxes last, and then this would just say line box. I guess I do like this a little bit. Although I wish I didn't have to say rect everywhere here, so maybe we can improve that as well. We can just have int width return, no, it's just rect width. We'll have the same for height, because this will make it read so much tighter. If we just say width and container width and height, and like that. Okay, so now we ensure that there's a last line box, and then if line box width plus our own width exceeds the container width, then we add a line box. Maybe this could be written add line box like that instead. We can add a thing for that, because this just feels very like I'm reaching into this other thing and messing with it. So add line box directly to container. I think maybe that's a bit better. Add line box. Oh, and we can have it return the line box. So I say add line box, because then we can write this like this. Okay, that's actually looking kind of nice. So here it's like, yeah, it's a star, it's an auto star, but you can't rebind a reference, so I have no choice but to use star, even though I know that it's never going to be null. I'm forced to use a pointer because you can't rebind a reference, but that's okay. So this reads really nicely now, I think, at least at the moment I feel that way. So add line box, and then it will just indiscriminately add a line box and return it. And what's wrong with this one? And oh, right, we rename it to ensure. Okay, so let's see how this works. This almost feels like a generic splitting into lines mechanism. I mean, it's not really specific to layout replaced. It's just that I don't have anywhere to put a generic implementation of this at the moment, so it just ends up here. We'll see how this thing evolves. Let's see if it works. Okay, so let me turn on the line box borders, and then come on. Oh yeah, look at that. They are splitting based on the available space. Isn't that nice? And of course, if we don't have enough space, then they still end up like overflowing. And then we don't have a horizontal scroll bar because we don't have that mechanism yet to scroll horizontally. But we will someday. That's just not what I'm going to work on right now. But this actually fixes the issue at least, so that's awesome. Oh, it's kind of sneaky there, a little ugly with the space after the comma. Like you end up changing it based on the size. Well, that's an entirely different problem with text layout. But now this works. Very, very cool. So let's see what we did. So patch review. So we added these functions to layout block, ensure last line box, and add line box. So this one ensures that there is a last one. If you have no line boxes, we'll just add one. That makes it return a reference. That's very nice. And then add line box always adds one, which is also very nice. Here are the headers for that. And then in layout node, we just add these convenience getters. And then in layout replaced, when we place ourselves on a line, when we split into lines, then if the line gets too big for the container, then we just add a new line box. I mean, it just reads so nicely. I'm so happy with how that turned out. Cool. So let's say split and replaced properly fix broken inline splitting behavior, and yeah, replaced elements will now properly create line breaks when they exceed, when they use up the available horizontal space. I'm lacking a little bit of the terminology I can feel here. I haven't been in this browser hacking world. Like, I've been out of it for a few years, and now I'm coming back into it, and I still find it a little hard to find all the words for all the things again. But it'll come back. So that's cool. This fixes an issue with IMG tag. IMGs. Lining up in a row. Lining up on a line instead of breaking. Lining up instead of breaking. Yeah. Alright. That's pretty awesome. Maybe we can make use of this in some more places, the add line box thing, because I really like that one. And we definitely are doing this in more than one place. So for these cases, we could use like ensure, or yeah, this is ensure last line box. And what do we do with it? Line box is last. but I don't want to mess with that one at the moment. But layout break, that one is easy. Here I can at least use add line box. That reads slightly better. And then that's those. And then, I mean, these could just be add line box as well, actually. Line boxes, but here I have it as reference. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with text layout right now, but the layout break we can update. Use layout block, add line box and layout break. And then in layout node, I added those convenient width and height things. So let me see where we use this the most. So width, height. Do we use those a lot? Maybe not as much as I expected. I guess we could we could expose X and Y as well. Not just width and height. So if we do this, X and Y, and we can also do size. And maybe even the position. Okay, so now that we have all of those, what can we do? So container rect width, direct. Okay, so let's just try to get rid of a bunch of this. It's fine. And let's see some more of these things. So here we can do like this. It's really quite nice. And here we can just use size directly. And here we can use X directly. Yeah, it's just little things, but I like it because you already know that you're referring to the rect when you say width. So I think it's definitely better with less to read in these cases. And here, and not that one. Wait, oh, that's a different one. Oh, right, it's changing the rect. It's a bit weird that we use the rect getter to change the rect, but don't have to mess with that right now. But here in the list layout item, we can definitely tweak. Okay, this is nice. Okay, I think that's it. So let's see that it still builds. And the images still work as we expect. Everything's still good. Awesome. I can't get over how cool it is that you can load the Serenity website in the browser. And oh yeah, and actually this here is supposed to blink, but the blink tag was a little bit broken when I made the video and everything, and I forgot this was supposed to blink. But now I fixed everything, and the blinking is back. So it is supposed to blink hello friends. And isn't that nice? So this totally works. And let's see the line box borders here. So neat. I really dig that it relayouts and paints very, very quickly. Like there's no struggle whatsoever. It's really awesome. Anyways, so I think we're just gonna commit what we have here, and then I'm gonna end the video for today. So maybe HTML, add some convenience geometry getters on layout node. X, Y, size. Wait, what else did I add? I already forget. Size and position. And use them around the code base. Okay. Cool. Very, very cool. So things are progressing nicely. This is, like I was saying, it's going to be the end of the video for today, but I'd like to say thank you for watching and for hanging out. And welcome again to all the new subscribers. It's really fun with all the people. Yeah. It's great to have you. And see you next time.